Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to be doing a reading vlog in which I will be rereading one of my favourite books, The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. I'm rereading this in preparation for Mr. Impossible, the new novel in the Dreamer trilogy from Maggie Stiefvater, which comes out on May 18th, which is next Wednesday. I will be doing another vlog of me rereading Call Down the Hawk, which is the first book in the trilogy, before Mr. Impossible comes out. Also, this will be a spoiler-filled vlog, so if you haven't read the books and you don't want to be spoiled, then don't watch it. I hope you enjoy. It's been a few hours since I did the intro, and I did some editing, which you might have saw in a clip, which took a good few hours. So it's a good few hours later. I think it's about 20 to 9 now. So I'm about to start reading. I have my cup on tea, my bookmark. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. This is a bookmark that my best friends got me for my birthday this year. It has a quote from the Raven cycle on it. It says, "His native language was thought." So this is the bookmark I'm going to be using. How pretty the other side of it is. I'm going to be doing this video in like time lapses of me reading, but I am going to stop whenever I have a comment or something that I want to say about my reading experience. I also forgot to mention that this is my copy of The Raven King from One More Page books, and it's actually a signed copy that I got for my birthday last year. I also want to say that because it's annotated, I also made the decision to print out different bits of fan art and kind of like little memes about the Raven cycle. So I have them stuck in. So I'll show you a few of my favourites of those. Oh my god. So I've read these books before. This is a reread vlog. But I kind of forgot that at the very end of Blue Lily, Lily Blue, Persephone dies. And I was just reminded of that fact and my heart broke a little bit. I'm gonna cry. This is one of the first pages I actually annotated. I wrote here. I'm going to mention and read out a few of the annotations, but because this is the first one, I figured I may as well read it out. So, okay, so I have another annotation here, and I just want to mention this scene because it's chapter 3, and Ronan's in the barns and he's dreaming. But I wrote on the side that it's nice to finally see happy moments Ronan has by himself, because usually in all the other books, as we see him progress and like his character develops, happy moments and joyful moments and moments of content are usually with Adam or with some other parts of the Gangsy. And I just said it's nice to see him be happy when he's by himself, instead of him, and like appreciating the little things like breathing and not being so full of hatred all the time. So I thought it was worth mentioning. I'm on chapter 6, and I just wanted to mention this little thing that I just absolutely love. So Blue got suspended from school and she gets in the car, and Gansey and Ronan and Adam are in the car, and Gansey asks her, "Do you have time to run an errand with us? Do you have homework?" And she goes, "No homework, I got suspended." And I just love this moment between Blue and Ronan. I just love it. So Ronan goes,
"Get the fuck out," Ronan said, but with admiration. "Sergeant, you asshole." And Blue, and it says, Blue reluctantly allowed him to bump fists with her.
Ronan and Blue supremacy.
I love Gansey being such a dad. The amount of times I have annotated in this entire series where I'm just like, Gansey being a dad, Gansey being a dad. He's explaining to Blue why they're all in the car and why their plans got derailed because of Ronan and his dreaming. And he goes, I was originally planning on doing all this stuff, but Ronan has decided to change all that. He has different ideas for our afternoon, more important uses of our time. And Ronan goes, "Tell me, Dad, are you mad that I fucked up? Or are you just mad that I skipped school?" And then Gansey says, "I think those both count as fuck-ups, don't you?" And Ronan goes, "Oh, don't. It just sounds vulgar when you say it." Oh my god, I can't.
Something that makes me so sad is the fact that Adam, like, thinks love is a privilege. Love was so rare for him, or it wasn't even a thing, that now he thinks love is a privilege. Like, let me just read out what he's saying. He's in Cabeswater, and he's basically having this inner monologue about how important Cabeswater is to him. And he says, he had not known that he could love, not really. Gansey and he had fought about it once. Gansey had said with disgust, "Stop saying privilege, love isn't privilege." But Gansey had always had love, had always been capable of love. Now that Adam had discovered this feeling in himself, he was more certain than ever that he was right. Need was Adam's baseline, his resting pulse. Love was a privilege. Adam was privileged. He did not want to give it up. He wanted to remember again and again how it felt. It just makes me so sad.
Protect Adam at all costs.
So they're in Cabeswater still, and I just love this scene so much. I love it because just all of them are just absolutely in awe of the magic of Cabeswater. And like Orphan Girl is in Ronan's arms and she's singing and the birds are like chirping back in harmony, and then Gansey like touches the leaves and they turn into fish, and everyone's just loving it. And then Adam is like, what's the best way for me to flirt right now? And he gets Cabeswater to play a song that Ronan loves. And I have a thing, you know, at the start I said that I had like a few things stuck in at the end of the chapter, and this is one of them. It's at the end of this chapter. I'm not finished the chapter yet, but it's basically about that scene. I'm gonna read out what it says. So each of the trees they passed sounded with a processed thud, until the sound around them was the pulsing electronic beat that invariably played in Ronan's car or headphones. So his favourite song. "Oh God," Gansey said, but he was laughing. "Do we have to endure that here too? Ronan?" "It wasn't me," Ronan said. He caught Adam's eye. When Adam's mouth quirked, Ronan's expression stilled for a moment before turning to the loose smile he ordinarily reserved for Matthew's silliness. Adam felt a surge of both accomplishment and nerves. He skated an edge here. Making Ronan Lynch smile felt as charged as making a bargain with Cabeswater. These weren't forces to play with. And so at the end, there's this little thing, and it says, "Most perfect romantic gesture for your high school sweetheart, using your ancient and eldritch magic powers to make the local mystical dream forest play shitty electronica." Oh, I love Pinch. Okay, it's like probably 10 or 20 past 10 now, and I need to go to sleep and get my beauty sleep because I have school in the morning. I shall update you all the next time I'm reading, which will probably be after I come home from school tomorrow.
Hi everyone, so it's now Tuesday the 11th of May and it's about 20 to 9 and I'm gonna read a little more of The Raven King. One of my favourite quotes from the book has just been said. Trees in your eyes, Calla added more gently than usual, stars in your heart. I'm on chapter 12 and Gansey, it's Raven Day and Gansey is just after having a panic attack and I just adore Henry Chang. This is when he invites Gansey and Blue to his toga party, which is one of my absolute favorite scenes in all of these books. Like, I cried the last time I reread it, but I'm so excited for that scene. I cannot wait till we get to it.
It's about 20 to 5 and I just got home from school. I'm gonna do some editing and then I'm gonna continue my reread of The Raven King. I'm so excited because I have loads and loads of time to do it today because you have the whole evening. So I will come back and update you when I'm about to start reading. I am back. It's now like 8 o'clock and I spent way too long editing and I wanted to spend loads of time reading this. Not my cup of tea. I'm prepared. Let's read. Oh my god, we just got to another one of my favorite chapters. I have this little thing in because I was supposed to stick it on it like I usually would, but I couldn't find anywhere to stick it. It's quite funny. I might read it out after I finish the chapter actually, because I'm gonna talk about the chapter. Okay, I'm only like one line into the chapter. Not one line, a few lines into the chapter. But I just love this line because it has so much, it has like other hidden meanings that you only recognize and notice after you've already read the books. So he's going to visit Adam and he just says, Adam lived in an apartment located above the office of St. Agnes Catholic Church. A fruitious combination that focused most of the objects of Ronan's worship in one downtown block. And it's just, when you think about it, a place that focused most of the objects of Ronan's worship in one downtown block. Ronan worships God. He worships the church. And he worships Adam. Okay, that's all. I just need to read out this whole paragraph just because I love Ronan and Adam. So, one of my favorite quotes is at the end of this. I know I say that all the time, but so Adam is scrying in front of his car in the garage parking lot, and Ronan obviously arrives and he says he calls Adam's name and Adam kind of just goes, leave me alone for a minute. And so it says, Ronan crossed his arms to wait, just looking at Adam's fine cheekbones, his furrowed fair eyebrows, his beautiful hands, everything washed out by the furious light. He had memorized the shape of Adam's hands in particular, the way his thumb jutted awkwardly, boyishly, the roads of the prominent veins, the large knuckles that punctuated his long fingers. In dreams, Ronan put them to his mouth. His feelings for Adam, this is my favorite part. His feelings for Adam were an oil spill. He'd let them overflow, and now there wasn't a damn place in the ocean that wouldn't catch fire if he dropped a match. Wow, is all I have to say. Okay. Just listen. Ronan held out his hand. Adam took it. Ronan hauled him up, his mind all palm against palm, thumb crossed over thumb, fingers pressed into wrist bone. And then Adam was facing him, and he released his hand. The ocean burned. Okay, I'm reading out more. I don't even care. I'm reading out this whole chapter. I'm sorry, I'm not. Okay. So Adam is telling Ronan about how his eye had this like mind of its own earlier on, and his hand also did the same thing. He allowed Ronan to lean in to compare his eyes, close enough that Ronan felt his breath on his cheek, and he allowed Ronan to study the palm of his hand. The latter was not strictly necessary, and they both knew it. But Adam watched Ronan closely as he lightly traced the lines there. This was like walking the line between dream and sleep. The night-sharp balance of being asleep enough to dream and awake enough to remember what he wanted. He knew Adam had figured out how he felt, but he didn't know if he could step off this knife-slender path without destroying what he had. Adam held Ronan's gaze as Ronan released his hand.
Another thing that makes me really sad that happens in this chapter is, so Adam's scrying with Ronan in the car with him so he can drive and bring Adam to the place that he thinks Cabeswater needs him to go. And Adam's looking for a devil or a demon. And of course, he pulls up right outside his old house, which is where his parents live. And Ronan asks him, "Why are we here?" And Adam says, "Wrong devil." It's just so sad. Like, Adam Parrish deserves better. Oh my god. So Adam is after coming to the realization, and Ronan's after telling him that Cabeswater is of Ronan's making. He dreamt it. And he's just thinking to himself. He goes, he had made a bargain with this forest. When he fell asleep and Cabeswater was in his thoughts, tangled through his dreams. Was that Ronan? No, Ronan said fast, his tone unschooled. No, I didn't invent it. I asked the trees after I figured it out. How the hell this happened? Like, And then down here he just goes, Cabeswater isn't me, Ronan repeated. You're still just you. Ronan just, every single time, like, he's vulnerable. And there's just a hint of doubt in the other person. Ronan immediately backtracks and is like, no, completely walls go right up. Oh, and he's just like, Ronan, so Adam's thinking everything through. And Ronan goes, I don't know why the fuck I told you. I should have lied. Just give me a second with it, will you? Adam asked. Whatever. You can't be pissed off because I'm thinking this through. I said whatever. How long did it take you to believe it? Adam demanded. I'm still trying, Ronan replied. And it's just like, Adam's right, he needs time to process, but Ronan's just immediately thinks Adam is gonna be thinking that Ronan's been rifling through his thoughts or whatever, or Ronan has taken control of Adam, and that's something Adam needs within himself. He needs control over his own life, and he cannot have another person controlling him because obviously his traumatic and abusive upbringing with his father, he just can't have that. So Adam would immediately retreat within himself, as Ronan is doing now. So it's just a bit like, oh, these poor boys are so damaged and broken. Okay, I'm on chapter 27. So this big thing happens where Noah gets possessed and he attacks Blue. And a little bit before that, I think I mentioned a little bit from the scene, but Adam and Ronan are in Cabeswater getting Orphan Girl back, and Cabeswater starts to turn into a nightmare, and so Orphan Girl falls into this pool of acid, and Ronan jumps in to save her, and then Cabeswater isn't helping and they're dying, and then Adam
saves them and brings them back. So they've left Cabeswater now, and they're all in the hospital in Henrietta because Blue was getting her eyes stitched back up and stuff. And like Gansey's really mad. Gansey is giving out that, oh, like, Ronan, we spent a whole day putting orphan girl in there, and now you're just taking her back out. Like, it's so dangerous to do that now when Cabeswater is like unpredictable, blah blah blah. And one thing I just want to say is I just want to talk about Ronan for a minute. When you think about Ronan, his character and his personality is quite complex. And I think I was explaining earlier how when he gets vulnerable and there's just even just a tiny inkling of doubt from the person he's being vulnerable with, he will immediately backtrack and slam up walls and completely shut down. And I think one aspect of Ronan's personality that is really worth mentioning is everyone loves to always be like, oh, Ronan's this, Ronan's that, he's a dickhead, he like is always not taking anything serious, he doesn't care and everything like that. But I think Ronan actually cares so much. He has an incredible quality of knowing how to diffuse tension and knowing how to pick up on other people's emotions and feelings. And I just think he's really in tune with other people's emotions. And so, anyways, they're in the hospital, and Gansey's obviously really mad and upset and distraught. And Adam and Ronan are after seeing Blue for the first time with her eye all stitched up and swollen. And there, Adam is obviously very panicked as well. And Blue looks like she's in a lot of pain, and all of them can tell that. Ronan picks up on all this tension and this sadness and this terror, and he lightens up the air and he just goes, Jesus God, Sergeant, do you have stitches on your face? Bad ass. Put it here, asshole. And then, with some relief, Blue lifted her fist and bumped it against his. And I just think Ronan needs to get more credit. He is a soft cowboy at heart, and he loves all his friends. I'm just only after starting reading, but I kind of stopped mid-chapter the last time I was reading, and I think I said then as well that this is, I know I say this all the time, but this is one of my favourite chapters because there's so much in it. There's a lot to do with Adam and Ronan, but also there's a lot to do with the Lynch brothers as a whole, and I find them really interesting. So Ronan's after walking out of school and Declan is waiting for him. I just find it really interesting the way Maggie Stiefvater writes in general, but also especially this dynamic. When Declan says Ronan, the word is loaded with additional meaning. It means, like, in this context, I see you've only just come out of school and already your uniform looks like hell. Nothing is shocking here. So it's a kind of disappointing tone, Ronan. And then Gansey says Ronan's name as well. And it says that his Ronan was loaded with additional meaning too. And it meant, was this prearranged? Tell me what is happening and do you need me to intervene? And then Matthew says Ronan as well. and his Ronan was another version of please. But then Adam says Ronan, and it says when he said Ronan, it meant Ronan. And I love the way it's written and the way that Maggie Stiefvater really encapsulates and is able to describe different habits and mannerisms people have, especially with their tone of voice. But also I love this just because when Adam says Ronan, it means Ronan, you know. Also, this is the first time that Adam and Ronan speak to each other in Latin. And like Latin becomes their thing, it's their love language. And I just love it. I find Declan and Ronan's relationship so incredibly interesting because it's so complex, and because the two separate people, both Declan and Ronan, are such complex characters as well. Or Declan says, we need to talk about your future, and Ronan's like, not happening. And so Ronan walks away from the car, and I'll just read out what's written. Ronan, wait. Ronan did not wait. Ronan! Before he died, when he and I were out together, Dad told me a story about you. It was wickedly unfair. It was wickedly unfair because there was nothing else that would have stopped Ronan from walking away. It was wickedly unfair because Declan knew it, and he'd known Ronan would try to walk away. This whole kind of interaction and the way Declan and Ronan both manipulate each other, but out of most of the time a place of twisted love, is just so interesting and so complex. So he's trying his best to protect him, and he's doing it the only way he knows how. A quote I marked that I just love the way Maggie Stiefvater writes. She makes it so personal. When I read her books and her writing, it kind of entrances me, and it makes me feel the way these characters feel. Declan is telling Ronan a story. Ronan's thinking, it was true that the memory of the ritual was heavy enough. Ronan was all tangled up in half-formed images of his father sitting on the end of Matthew's bed. The brothers tumbled together at its head. His mother perched on that tatty desk chair no one else would sit at. She loved these stories too, especially the ones about her. And I just love the way that's written. Like, I can feel it. I can see that memory. It's just so descriptive and specific, and written in such a way that makes you feel like you're there with them. This quote kind of just describes what I meant earlier about how complex the Lynch brothers are. On the outside, the three Lynch brothers appeared remarkably dissimilar. Declan, a butter-smooth politician. Ronan, a bull in a china shop world. Matthew, a sunlit child. On the inside, the Lynch brothers were remarkably similar. They all loved cars, themselves, and each other. Also, another part that I just want to read out that I love, it's just Ronan at his core. So Declan's asking Ronan about college, and Ronan's like, nope, that's not for me. Declan thinks that Ronan is going to try and make a career out of his dreaming, like the way their father did. So it says, this was not in fact what Ronan wanted. Although he wanted to be free to dream and free to live at the Barns, he did not want to dream in order to be able to live at the Barns. He wanted to be left alone to repair all of the buildings, to raise his father's cattle from their supernatural sleep, to populate the fields with new animals to be eaten and sold, and to turn the very rearmost field into a giant mudslick suitable for driving cars around in circles. This, to Ronan, represented a romantic ideal that he would do much to achieve. He wasn't sure how to tell his brother this in a persuasive, unembarrassing way, though. So he said, in an unfriendly way, I was actually thinking of being a farmer. It's just so funny. But also I just love the way he describes it, like that's what would make him happy. Oh, and it's just so nice to see Ronan think and see the world in a positive light. God, I just noticed something that I've never noticed before. So in Mr. Impossible, on the front cover, Ronan is holding a sword, and a sword is apparently a big thing in it. It just says here that when Ronan was quite young enough that he attended Sunday school, he dreamt a flaming sword. Okay, so I'm at one of the funniest scenes, the funniest in this book, and it's where Blue's in school and she's waiting on the bus, and all of a sudden this Raven boy in a really expensive car comes to collect her, and she's like thinking to herself, oh my god, I've like been friends with these Aglenby posh boys for ages now, but I've been trying not to look like I'm friends with these boys and keeping her reputation, you know, upheld. Oh, it's so funny. It's another page after that. She goes, I can't get in this car. Do you see what's happening behind me? I don't even want to look. Henry said, how about you give me the finger and shout at me now and withdraw your principles? That is incredibly unnecessary, Blue told him, but she could feel herself smiling. Life is a show, he replied. And then right after that happens, Gansey pulls up and Blue is like, she goes, the letters Blue Sergeant is a hypocrite were most certainly scrawled in her own handwriting across her head. It's just quite funny. I just find it very funny. At the end it sums it up perfectly. I have another little meme thing. And it says, remember that scene in The Raven King when Henry turned up at Blue's school and he got dramatic AF and faked an argument to keep her image intact, and then 2 seconds later, boyfriend number 2 rolled in and she was 100% done. It's so accurate. Guys, this is the chapter. This is, I think, definitely my favorite chapter in the entire book. I know I've said that about 10 times now, but it actually is. It is. So I have little things stuck at the start because I have pictures at the end, and I'll show you both of those at the end of the chapter when I finish, but I'm going to give you a lot of thoughts on this chapter just so you know. So Adam's looking at this car and it's reminding him of a car he bought himself. It's like a little play car, and it's reminding him of something he bought himself when he was very young, when he got like $10 in a card for his birthday. And this chapter really pulls on my heartstrings in like some of the best ways and some of the worst ways. Like, the way Maggie Stiefvater, like I've said this so many times, but the way she describes things is just so vivid and potent, and so Adam is obviously recalling this memory, and I'm just going to read a few lines that I highlighted. Adam's thoughts rolled close to the memory and jerked back. The fearsome anticipation of recalling the memory was worse than the memory itself, because it would go on for as long as Adam resisted it. Sometimes it was better to just give in at once. Adam sighed. It was impossible how some memories never decayed. Playing on a miserable, obsessive loop in his head, once he had given in, he wouldn't have known how to stop, but now at least he could merely feel its sting once and then put it away for some other day. He was ever so slowly moving himself out of that trailer, and I'm proud of you, baby. I'm proud of you. Okay, so I'm just gonna read a little bit because I've highlighted like almost this entire page, but it needs to be all read out. Adam watched how intently Ronan studied the seams, his eyelashes low over his light eyes. Ronan let out a breath, put the model down on the bed beside him, and kissed Adam. And then the little thing says, does Ronan know that while he was playing with his toy car and making up his mind on whether to kiss Adam or not, Adam was studying his pretty eyes and eyelashes? Says, he knew that of all the options in the world, Ronan Lynch was the most difficult version of any of them. He knew that Ronan was not a thing to be experimented with. He knew his mouth still felt warm. He knew he had started his entire time at Aglenby certain that all he wanted to do was to get as far away from this state and everything in it as possible. He was pretty sure he'd been Ronan's first kiss. I'm gonna go downstairs, Ronan says. Oh, I love these boys. Okay, so I'm on the next chapter, and Ronan, it's basically all in Ronan's point of view, and he's like ecstatic. He's so happy, obviously. And he's thinking back to a story his father once told him, and it's so funny and so cool because Ronan is supposed to be part half Irish. There's a lot of Irish kind of folklore in the Raven cycle, well, when it comes to Ronan anyway. And it's so interesting because obviously I'm Irish, and like I know these stories from growing up. And so one of the stories that he's referencing in this is the story Fionn McCool agus an Radon Fasa. And that is a story about a boy who's training with this wizard, and the wizard catches a salmon fish that's supposed to be magical, and he's cooking it on the fire, and he goes and he tells Fionn McCool to keep an eye on the salmon. And so when Fionn is turning it and checking on it, he ends up burning himself by accident on his finger, and he just, without thinking, sticks it in his mouth, and then he gets all the magical abilities. And he refers to the story in this that he felt like he was Fionn McCool. He felt that he had caught happiness without meaning to. And I just love the fact that the story is in this book, and like I recognize it and I know the story, and you know, I grew up with it, and now it's in one of my favorite books as well. And it's one aspect I love about the Raven cycle, so I just wanted to talk about it a little. I say this all the time, but like, oh, I love this part too. So Adam is about to tell Gansey about Ronan and his kiss. Okay, I don't know what the last thing I said was, but because I went to tell my family to be quiet, because you know, this is a serious production here. So I think I was saying Gansey and Adam are having a conversation, and Adam is asking Gansey if he knows about Blue's curse, and he's also asking him if he, like, how does he know he's in love with her or whatever. I'm gonna read out a few bits like I've said. So Adam goes, what does that mean? Like, how do you know that it's different than just being her friend? And Gansey goes, my heart. I suppose she makes me quiet, like Henrietta. I love Gansey and Blue. Oh, not me about to cry. Stop right there. So Adam goes, and that's it. It's that simple, like. And Gansey says, I don't know, Adam. You're asking me to define an abstract concept that no one has managed to explain since time began. You sort of sprang it on me, Gansey said. Why do we breathe air? Because we love air? Because we don't want to suffocate? Why do we eat? Because we don't want to starve? And then this part right here. How do I know I love her? Because I can sleep after I talk to her. This bitch is an insomniac. And he says, I can sleep after I talk to her. That's true love. Wow. Oh my god. And this part. And so Adam says, Ronan kissed me, Adam said immediately. The words had clearly been queued up. He gazed studiously into the front yard. When Gansey didn't immediately say anything, Adam added, I also kissed him. Jesus, Gansey said. Christ. Okay, look at this stuff. I have to stick it in. Oh, can I calm down? So I'm going to read them all. So Gansey spends months debating how to tell Adam about him and Blue, worries it'll spoil the group's friendship if they start dating each other, and worries that Adam, like 5 minutes after kissing Ronan, Gansey, oh my god, you'll never believe what the fuck just happened. Also, what is love? Adam has no chill. And then I just love that Ronan's reaction to Blue and Ganzi's relationship is saying gross, like a son to his parents' PDA. And Ganzi's reaction to Adam and Ronan's relationship is basically, don't you dare hurt my daughter, I'll come after you, Parish. Dad Ganzi is canon. I'm still not over the fact that it was Ronan who was supposedly the one who had all these feelings for Adam, and we had like 2.5 books of him internally screaming every time Adam looked at them. Every time Adam looked at him. But they kissed once, and Adam basically went and immediately asked Ganzi's permission for Ronan's hand. Like, calm down, Parish. Ooh. Okay, and the last one. This is a pretty hefty long one, but I clearly liked it a lot for putting it in here. And also, all these like little bits I have are all from Pinterest. Just so grateful that Adam at no point thinks, a boy just kissed me and that makes this difficult and confusing. And it would be totally understandable if he had those thoughts. But no, all he thinks about is Ronan. He thinks about how much he cares about him and how he never wants to hurt him, and how much having him in his life has come to mean to him. He thinks about how he's leaving and Ronan isn't, and that might make things complicated. He thinks about how he needs to be all in from the start if he wants to pursue this. He knows Ronan loves him. He knows this isn't going to be anything close to a fleeting teenage fling. Ronan doesn't do casual. Ronan gives everything to the people he loves. Ronan's asking him if he wants to try forever with him. And then Adam talks to Ganzi about love, not like, not attraction, because he didn't think he could love, and now he knows differently, and maybe, just maybe, that's the name for this thing he's been slowly feeling. When he realizes Ronan's looking at him, when he lets himself be goaded way too easily into a stupid stunt, like the trolley, when he lets him sleep on his floor, when Ronan shares a new part of himself with him, when he makes Ronan smile, when he trades flirty banter with him in the halls of Aglenby, when he realizes he's been looking back at Ronan too. Ronan essentially offers him his entire heart when he kisses him. And Adam, who doesn't do anything halfway either, takes it and promises to take care of it always, and gives his own in return, trusting that Ronan will do the same. Stop it, I'm going to cry. I love these books so much. Okay, get yourself together, Stephanie. Oh, she's gone. Okay. Pull yourself together. I feel like Sharpay in that thing in High School Musical where she's like, bah, bah, bah. Okay. Whew. Okay, now that I've like collected myself enough to speak, this part is the chapter where the quote from my bookmark is said by none other than my favorite little bean, Henry. I have this all highlighted orange, which is stuff I relate to. So it's just all about Henry really, and he's kind of, we find out as a reader more about his past. So it says, depending on where you began the story, it was about Henry Chang. Henry had never been good with words. You've got a great vocabulary, Milo had said, which is his teacher. I'm skipping a few bits. I'm just reading out the bits I've highlighted. Henry was aware he had a great vocabulary. It was not the same thing as having the words you needed to express yourself. You're very well spoken for a kid your age, Milo had added. Ha, hell ha, even for a guy my age. But sounding like you were saying what you felt was not the same as actually pulling it off. That's where the quote is. That's on my bookmark. But it wasn't that Henry was less of himself in English. He was less of himself out loud. His native language was thought. I just love it. Like, his native language was thought. Like, wow, the brains Miss Stiefvater has. Like, girl, I loves you.
Okay, I have migrated to my bed because it's getting late and I want to get cozy. But I'm about to start another one of my favorite chapters, which is chapter 39. And it's a very short chapter, but it's about Pinch, my two boys. So I'm gonna have I've highlighted practically all of the chapter's literally only one page, but I've highlighted practically all of it. So here we go. He watched them and they watched him, and then Ronan could not stand it. Adam? When Adam kissed him, it was every mile per hour Ronan had ever gone over the speed limit. It was every window down, goosebumps on skin, teeth shattering cold night drive. It was Adam's ribs under Ronan's hands, and Adam's mouth on his mouth, again and again and again. It was stubble on lips, and Ronan having to stop to get his breath, to restart. They were both hungry animals, but Adam had been starving for longer. Inside, they pretended they would dream, but they did not. They sprawled on the living room sofa, and Adam studied the tattoo that covered Ronan's back. All the sharp edges that hooked wondrously and fearfully into each other. This is more Latin, so I'm going to butcher it. Unguibus et rostro? Adam says. It means claws and beak, which refers to Ronan's tattoo. Ronan put Adam's fingers to his mouth. He was never sleeping again. Wow. I also have some fan art at the end of it too, and a meme that says, I love in The Raven King when Adam is like, y'all, I got some weird feelings about Ronan. And then Ronan kisses Adam, and Adam's like, okay, y'all, never mind, I figured it out. I love this chapter. This right here. I'm on chapter 42, which it's the morning after the night at the Barnes, the going away party. And Adam is looking for Ronan. As they scuffled in the grass, Adam closed his eyes and leaned his head back. He could nearly scry just like this. The quiet and the cold breeze on his throat would take him away, and the dampness of his toes in his shoes and the scent of living creatures would keep him here, with and without. Oh, I love the way that's written so much. And then this part. He couldn't tell if he was letting himself idolize this place or Ronan, and he wasn't sure there was a difference. It reminds me of the quote, it was possible there was two gods in this church, that Adam says about Ronan in, I think, Blue Lily Lily Blue, or else The Dream Thieves. When he opened his eyes, he saw that Ronan was looking at him, as he had been looking at him for months. Adam looked back, as he had been looking back for months. I need to dream, Ronan said. Adam took Orphan Girl's hand. He corrected. We need to dream. It's quite late in the day, it's like 4 o'clock. I just took a bath. You probably saw some cute aesthetic clips of that, if I could do that properly. So my plan is to finish The Raven King today, by tonight. And I know I said last night that I was gonna finish it last night, but I got really tired and I fell asleep. I pre-ordered my copy of Mr. Impossible yesterday. It probably won't be here on the release day. It'll probably come a few days after, but let's read. I'm at the end of chapter 44, which is page 311, and Adam and Ronan are in Cabeswater. Basically, Cabeswater is like dying, and Ronan hears Orphan Girl scream, and both Ronan and Adam go to find her, and they find her, and then Adam notices that Aurora, Ronan's mother, is dead behind Orphan Girl, and it's just so
sad and heartbreaking. Like, oh my god, Ronan doesn't need anything else. Like, leave that boy alone. But this part just breaks my heart. Ronan, Adam warned as dread welled up in him. At the tone in Adam's voice, Ronan turned. There was a brief moment where he was looking just at Adam, and Adam wished that he could keep him in it forever. Just wake up, he thought. But he knew Ronan wouldn't. Ronan's gaze dropped. Mom? I remember the first time I read that, I was sobbing. I was inconsolable. So I'm actually going to cry right now, but Gansey and Blue found out about Aurora, and they're all at 300 Foxway now, and Ronan's in the car, and this, oh my god, this chapter just really, it makes me so upset, because like Ronan's just after finding his way to happiness again, and he's starting to feel happy for once and not hate all the time. He also was the one to put his mother in Cabeswater, so he probably blames himself then for that as well. Like, it just, it's so horrible. This boy does not deserve it. He just needs to get to live out his cowboy dreams in the barns with his husband for the rest of his life and his little child. I hope you can hear that rain. It's great ambience for my reading. Okay, so I'm on the epilogue. I'm actually gonna cry. They were on their way to Cabeswater, and Ronan, the demon, started unmaking Ronan, and he was dying, and so was Orphan Girl, and it also meant that so was Matthew. And so they made this decision there and then to sacrifice Gansey, and they did that, and then he was dead, and Ronan woke up, and they were all like grieving, and Henry was like, what are you doing? Like, there must be something you can do. You're magicians, you're his magicians, be magicians. So Adam came up with the idea that they could sacrifice Cabeswater. And then the chapter of Cabeswater, like it being in Cabeswater's point of view and in its consciousness, I just love it. It's so interesting and written in such a loving way. Like, Cabeswater loves these kids too. So I'm almost done, and basically Ronan got Henry, Gansey and Blue this graduation gift, and it's one of the Camaros that he dreamt in the Dream Thieves, and it's the car that had no engine, and so it's like a fully green car. And Blue loves it and all of them, and it's so sweet of Ronan to do that. And now Ronan's just, I love the end to this book. Okay, I'm gonna read the last few lines of the book now to end it off. I'm gonna cry. I love these books so much. Back at the barns, Ronan thought about all the things he liked and didn't like about Cabeswater, and what he would do differently if he was to manifest it now. What would give it more protection against a threat in the future? What would make it better able to connect with other places like Cabeswater on the line? What would make it a truer reflection of himself? Then, holding these things in his head, he climbed up onto the roof and gazed up at the sky. Then he closed his eyes and began to dream. Okay, so how do I end this? I don't know. I feel like I need a minute to compose myself after reading that. Okay, that concludes the end of my vlog for rereading The Raven King. I really hope you enjoyed it. I had so much fun vlogging it. I hope you enjoyed, and yes, subscribe if you want. Go read these books. Okay, that's all.